You really believe I look like this?
Welcome, Samir. I'm sure this is him. If not, we'll get to know in the next half an hour. Let me begin this session by asking you the most obvious question, Samir. What's on everyone's mind? हो क्या रहा है मार्केट में? क्या लगता है बॉस? क्या चल रहा है?
जैसे ही समझ आएगा ट्वीट कर दूंगा. So thing is, we are right now in a tough phase for sure. The only thing we can say is that if we can look at India's market performance now, forget about 3-6 months ago, and we see past 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years type performance for Nifty, for 500 index, for small cap index, mid cap index, and the next 50 index, which is the junior index, then other than the last 5 years, all numbers look broadly in line with history. Last 5 years numbers still look very high. But that is because now last 5 years basically start around end of Feb. So from there only the new bull run started. But if you see last 7 years, to say that last 5-year returns are not because of last 5 years, they are also because previous 2 years were very bad, which is 18 and 19. Then small cap index for 7 years is up something like 10%, which is broadly what it has been, or maybe higher than this for any period. But har bari 5 years looks a bit odd. That part is one. But the second is that we are in high uncertainty period because of Trump and his negotiations with India and all that. Third, if I say that how much time do these falls last, the bad part of the fall, and then they might be, roaming around here, there. So if you see 2000, 2008, Mota Mati, they last 8-10 months, in which they fall a lot or whatever they have to fall. And then they hang around for 3-4 months and then new round happens. So if you look at it like that, there is another 1 or 2 months. But these days the pace of fall is so high that these things can happen very fast. You are in the end game somewhere, but I would think that 2 things will coincide. By April, May, time also would have been 8 months, say September, say October, say. And second is, by that time, this situation of Trump and negotiations would also end. So if you are very market oriented, you will say these falls take 8 months. If you are very macro oriented, you will say we are waiting for Trump uncertainty to end or be clear what it is. वो घूम फिर के both end up. And the third way you can say it from an India point of view is कि when 1 year numbers of earnings and all start looking better. So last year the first quarter of, current year ka first quarter, that is April, May, June, and July, August, September में government spending was not there, company things were not there, so वो base आ जाएगा. So इसलिए हम कहते हैं अभी 2-3 महीने आप enjoy करें life.
So for somebody who's actually seen a lot of market cycles, what are the similarities and differences that you see now as compared to, let's say, the earlier cycles? What does history tell us?
So this is what I was telling about history in terms of time. And also, but in fall, normally the very big falls have been of the order of 30%. Of course, the global financial crisis was like 58-60%. Otherwise, 30 type. But this, I was not so far connecting it to a global correction because the world is doing quite well in terms of the markets. So US market has been good, even European market has been very good. So isliye I was not till say 30 days ago saying that why India should not fall so much, that it is our own creation and the government has responded a little bit. And if you want a V-type recovery, we have to ask the government to do a few things which I will tell. But generally, time-wise यही है, history तो यही है basically. But another part of history is that you do what you want. In the end, equity markets do better than anything else. So I have this book, but please don't buy it because only data. It's called Triumph of the Optimists. And वो क्या है कि London Business School professors collected data for 100 years for I think 14 or 16 countries. And then US everybody has. In India you can take 30-year type of data. 40-year type of data. Basically, equity markets beat government bond कह लो या fixed deposit market by an average in every market, they have it by market, by 5-6% per annum. They have also broken it down that 100 years, which is from 1902 or something to 2002 when this book was written, for 10 years at a time, to show that it all didn't happen in one day or in one phase. And in every decade, average for that market of beating the debt of that market was mota mati 5-6% per annum. That's why India में हम कहते हैं government type is 7%, so you will make 12-13%. Earnings growth भी ऐसी होती है, GDP growth in nominal terms ही होती है. ये है history. अब when you are in the middle of the fall बड़ा बुरा लगता है. But when you see from a slight distance, लगता है हाँ हमेशा ठीक हो जाती है. So just to complete, if you had invested in 1939 in Japan, and then the World War started, and then Japan got hit with a atom bomb, and then if you had invested in 1939 in Japanese equity, it was better than investing in 1939 in Japanese debt. पहले तो वो वर्ल्ड वॉर हारा, फिर उसका बॉम्ब हुआ, उसके बाद भी. बट देन व्हेन यू मेजर दिस ओवर 1 year, ऑब्वियसली नॉट, देन यू हैव टू मेजर इट ओवर सम 12-13 years, 10 years. उसके बाद वो पूरा रिकवर करके इट विल आउट परफॉर्म. सो लॉन्ग टर्म में देयर इज नो अदर चॉइस, बट शॉर्ट टर्म में व्हेन यू इन द मिडल ऑफ इट, हम कह रहे हैं जी 2 महीने भी और लगेंगे, हो सकता है, क्या पता. दैट इज द थिंग.
You rightly said, in the middle of it, बुरा तो बहुत लग रहा है, and especially to those people who are, SIP investors. And as data suggests that, SIPs are slowing down. The accounts, there have been account closures. So investors till now, I would say, have been bruised, but not battered. Is there a loss of confidence? 1. 2, is that if they are bruised and battered, will it be difficult, to bring those investors back? Because a large part of those investors are first-time investors, especially after COVID.
So if they are first-time investors, they should celebrate this fall, because if they have invested in the last 1 or 2 years, starting 2 years ago, let's say, and you have to invest for 30 years, and you are doing SIP, that means you are putting a fixed amount and every month getting a fixed. Why do you want the market to be up in the first 2-3 years? You want the market to be cheap in the first 2-3 years, or not cheap but low in the first 2-3 years, or even for many years, and then there be a rally, because during that period of accumulation you want more units. This market is bad for people who are about to exit, who were about to retire, and they thought they'll get 1 crore from the market and they will get 85 lakhs or something, or 90 lakhs. So ulta hai. But the old guy can be happy that over time he still has made a lot of money, and the new guy can feel very happy that he is not buying at a high price. इसलिए हम कहते हैं खुश रहो, mutual fund सही है.
Is there any silver lining amid all this? I mean, we see that corporate profits are down, the economy is slowing a bit, there's tariff threat as well, trade wars. Amid all this gloom and doom, is there any silver lining? Have the markets overreacted to whatever's happening globally and the fact that corporate profits are down and will take time to recover, but eventually they will come back?
No, I'm not saying they've overreacted, because I'm still saying it might take 2-3 more months, because this is how this works. But there are silver linings of 2-3. One is that whatever you may say, India relatively will be less disadvantaged versus the rest of the world in connection with US, this thing, because what do they want? What they want, we also want, which is that please give us BYD, please give us Tesla at lower rates, please give us liquor at a lower tariff. We also want all those things. We have randomly created these high tariffs to protect a handful of fellows. On average, what we want is, please don't touch our software industry. That is people and all. And secondly, we are good guys. We are flexible. You can see the government is already being flexible and proactive on this account, that they want to do a deal. And that deal can be done and will be done, because abhi to he's fighting with everybody. But if you agree to some of his things, which are not that Indians feel so upset about, how dare you let cars come in at 25% duty or something. In fact, my thing is that the government also, which may have been slow in reforms recently, needs a little bit of a push. And I hope that they'd also do a deal with China for some non-sensitive technologies. Let solar come in, let cars come in. Don't let them come in as imported, But you can say, okay, bring, invest, localize, export, and list also. Make it all compulsory, partner, whatever you want. But unko aane do, because Maruti, do we call it Indian company or Japanese company? What do we call it?
Indian company.
Indian company. Who cares कि dividend ले जा रहा है, थोड़ी royalty भी ले जा रहा हो. But for that to hold back the technology from everybody, and in solar, who's the buyer? Indian solar मतलब this thing plant जो set up कर रहा है, उसकी cost बढ़ा रहे हो to protect this guy. Let that guy come in, not import. Import for some time, say 1 year, 3 months, 6 months. Everybody has to bring in technology and jobs or whatever else. So I think it's nothing will be ki, oh, it's gone forever. And corporate results were not so bad. Corporate results, aggregate earnings growth, if you exclude commodity, was some 13%. And maybe somebody thought it's 15%. Not bad. It was not this bad as the market has fallen. And
Which is what my question was. Have the markets overreacted to, let's say, the fall in corporate earnings or the interpretation of what's happened?
No, I think so many things we don't know of किस reason से हुआ है. But if you look at FII also, who has a choice to be anywhere, so FII last year aggregate only sold $1.5 billion, which the newspapers say $10-12 billion because newspaper. There are two FII numbers that come. One is how much you sold in the secondary market, and the other is the aggregate number, how much you sold on the market and how much you bought in IPO or QIP directly from the companies. So aggregate mein, it was only a $1.5 billion redemption, in which October month alone was something like $12 billion. So why was October so bad when September was plus 5 billion? It's because of Trump. Because that time it looked that November mein he's winning, and therefore he wants reforms and he wants liberalization and whatever. So whatever be the reason, वो हुआ. And उसके बाद अब Jan Feb में हुआ है. So actually you have this Jan Feb is more surprising than that October. This you can say is little bit results, little bit ये अपना new uncertainty or more uncertainty. So if the US market was to not go up every day, or correct a little, one more pressure point may go away, that you are selling India to buy US. Who knows?
So for an Indian investor, will 2025 be more about protection of capital rather than generating returns from the stock market?
First 6 months तो ऐसे ही लग रहा है. Yes, because अब right now we are already.
So when you say first 6 months from here, or let's say the 2 months have already passed?
Overall. But I'm saying then what happens is, market doesn't have a V-shaped recovery. It won't have a V-shaped recovery. V-shaped recovery, you need the government of India to respect the market and the FIs a little bit, which I can explain. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, this year is not going to be of making returns. If we can retrieve some of these lost returns, that would be great.
You recently said that the budget was a dream budget.
Yeah.
At least from the sense that the government did whatever it could to for the taxpayers. For somebody who's making returns from the stock market, could more have been done to make it a dream come true budget? Let's say tweak in the long term or a short term capital gains tax, roll back the STT.
Got it. So the dream budget, why I said was because my first logic was that people, when they're dreaming about the budget, the night before, they never dream, oh, tomorrow one infra road will be made somewhere and I'm dreaming about it. You dream कि हमारे को we will get more money or less taxes, and that's what they gave. So it's purely a dream budget. Secondly, Mr. Chidambaram's budget was called a dream budget because he cut taxes. Thirdly, the government did not randomly say I'm going to invest more when they said we don't have the capacity or the country doesn't have so many projects which are ready to spend money on. And they did not take money from one group and give to another. They did not cut it as a flat 2-3% so that somebody would say कि somebody making 5 crores will save 15 lakhs, but I saved only 1 lakh. They said mota mati everybody gets around 1 lakh and still cut the deficit. So that was pretty good. But the biggest mistake they have made, and the biggest turning around of sentiment, not just sentiment, reality, is that they have to accept that the capital gains tax in India, particularly for foreign investors, is 100% wrong. So the largest investors in the world, worldwide and in India, from foreigners are sovereign funds. That means government of Singapore, RDA, or Canadian, whatever. Second is pension funds. Say Canadian pension fund, ye wo apna Norges, ye wo. Third is universities, Harvard, Princeton, all put big money into India. Fourth, all these guys who live in Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai, Monaco, all high net worth guys. And they don't pay taxes anywhere. And no country, if any of these guys, some of them are based in US also, but when they invest in US market, there is no tax. I live in Singapore, I invest in US, my fund invests in US, no tax. When you invest in India, these foreigners, India takes 20% or 15% tax. And it cannot be recovered. It's just easy to say, oh, you are paying it here, but you can recover it in your home country because you can set it off. There is no tax there. What to do? These guys have no tax in their home country. And they are, whether you like it or not, 60-70% of the money in the world. India maybe 100% out of these 800, some 300-400 will be all these guys only. So when in India you pay tax and in US you don't, UK, by the way, there are some 200 countries in the world, 199 of them there is no tax for a foreign investor. So India का वो tax से क्या होता है कि we tell the world Indian market is doing very well. Indian Nifty is up so much, your is up so much, but ours is pre-tax. There is no tax. Secondly, then all foreigners lose money on currency broadly every year. So when we pay tax on the Indian income. And then the dollar rupee comes in. ये भी नहीं कि you can set off the fact that you lost on rupee dollar. So just to give you some numbers, for the last 7 years, Indian market in rupee terms is up some 12%. That means in dollar terms it is up say 7-8% per annum. But that is pre-tax. You make it post-tax, on that 12% you will have to pay say 2%, 10, so it becomes 5%. US market is 12% per annum. Now the question can be, but the Indian public will feel bad कि भाई you are waiving tax for the foreign investor. So 199 countries don't care, but let us say we care. What is the total tax collection of capital gains in India? Batao ji, without looking at Google. I looked at Google only 3 minutes ago, so it will be the same number. So in 22-23, India got 99,000 crores as capital gains tax, which is $10 billion, let's say $11 billion. But not every year. Peak of the peak year is saal mota mati zero, or maybe 10-20,000 crores. Next year 10-20,000 because these losses will be taken to next year. In a 5-year cycle, or 7-year cycle, you will have 1 year which is 10 billion, 12 billion. Other years will be 2-3 billion. So over a 5-year period, you will collect maybe $20 billion, which is 3-4 billion a year. Zero kar do, kya ho gaya? What is $3-4 billion? Now look at the positive. If you don't respect the market and you don't respect the FII, because I am saying, okay, आप लोगों को नहीं कर रहा, हमारे FI को तो छोड़ दो, but चलो दोनों को छोड़ दो. But the fact is, they say that FII comes in only to trade, to make money. They don't create jobs. They do create a fund manager jobs, but not other jobs. But the thing is, private equity guy cannot come in if he does not know where the exit is. And the private equity guy, when he sells, mostly because it is foreign private equity, will want dollars. So the FII is effectively assuring the private equity guy that first 7 years you invest, you make whatever you have to. When you are redeeming, when you are selling to realize your profit, I will bring in dollars and you will get those dollars and you can go away. This is all a cycle. ये अलग से आप करो अभी like private equity because he creates jobs, they create technology, but if they don't have an exit, or if their exit needs dollars, they can't sell it all to domestic mutual fund, even if there is money. From every angle, they should do it, and it's not a big deal. The last thing is, the only thing governments have is, oh, we'll be embarrassed. हमने अभी तो टैक्स लगाया, it looks bad. अगर ऐसे लगता है, look at Mr. Trump. Day before he tweeted that President Zelensky is a dictator. Tomorrow that guy is coming to meet him. And today I saw myself in the press conference, they asked him, you said that Zelensky is a dictator. He said, me? Really? Next question. तो हमें भी बेशरम होना चाहिए, इसमें शर्माने की बात नहीं है. If it is wrong, or even if it's not wrong, it is worth $4-5 billion. Look at jobs, look at economy, look at new this thing, capital. Then you can sell your PSU divestment. You can do hundreds of things. Otherwise, रोते रहो कि हम 5 साल में recover करेंगे because we can't be, reversing course on a obvious mistake that has been made.
So what have you bought and sold in the Indian market since the correction started in September, October of 24? So what has been your investment strategy?
My investment strategy has been that broadly we were bullish till December, Jan. And now we have reduced a little bit based on mostly to do with Trump. Because Trump has created uncertainty in a few sectors. It has also helped us find shorts in a few sectors. And basically I tweet everything indirectly, so you know what. But basically there are now 2 levels of uncertainty, you can say.
So what has found its way into your shopping basket?
Shopping basket or shopping basket?
Both, tell me.
Abhi shopping basket has been deferred till further advice.
So which is what my next question is. As a fund manager, are you finding buying opportunities hard, investing decisions tough? Because see, markets were on a one-way street up till about last year. So whatever, there was a feeling of FOMO, right? So now it's the completely reverse thing. If you bought something in January, you could probably buy it cheaper in February.
Correct. So what happens is that what you do depends on what you have done. So if we had come into January by saying we are sitting on 40% cash, sure we would have bought something. Now we came in at 95% in a long only cash. Invested. So then you will say, अभी चलने दो, हम 95 का हमारा कम होकर 92 हो गया तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? That is what I mean. The reality is that just because you bought it in Jan and in Feb it is cheaper, doesn't mean that I will use that logic to buy. I will say now I have enough. I know I want to buy a little bit more, but I have money and I have time. What to do? That is the reality. I don't come here and give this fund manager nonsense. The point is that you will say, I have 5-7% cash. Let me feel कि okay, I'll see now. And even if it goes up, I am happy that my 92 is invested. वो होता रहता है इसमें. There is no sacred this thing. You bought it at this price today. Why are you not buying? I will buy one day, but there is too much uncertainty. So that's what I'm saying. It'll take 1 or 2 months to get that thing back. कि चलो भाई. Because you are already invested sufficiently. That's the whole point.
So, a rapid fire thing. Boldest bet in the last 1 year. That's worked for you.
Boldest bet, we don't take bold bets. But if you say 2.5 years, Zomato.
2.5 years?
Zomato.
Okay. Missed opportunity of the last 1 year.
Shorting many of these stocks which are very high value.
Biggest contra strategy that did well for you?
Well, actually, now it may be looking as doing well, but for one which was a consensus stock for 25-30 years was a contra bet for last 3 years, which is HDFC Bank. At least now it doesn't fall.
Or at least doesn't fall that much.
Doesn't fall at least recently. But that is not a contra bet, but it was against everybody saying sell it off.
Markets versus IPL.
Markets versus?
IPL. Where will we see more ups and downs and heartburns in the next 3 months?
At every level, number one most interesting thing in the world is these days to see Trump press conference. And number 2 is market, and IPL is very boring. I recently went to see India-Pakistan, but agar us din market khuli hoti, which would have been more interesting, the market.
Thank you, Samir. Let me just open up the discussion to the floor and take in some questions. We have just 5 minutes, if the questions can be brief. Please identify yourself and then followed by the question, please.
Hi, sir. My name is Kumar Gaurav. I cover primary markets for BS.
Kumar Gaurav?
Yes.
Very good. I need your autograph.
Thank you, sir. My question is, as you said, like for the first 6 months, rather than expecting returns, we need to safeguard our capitals.
Sort of.
Now, I need your opinion for the investors who are sitting on cash already. Is this the right time for them to get into the markets? or should they wait longer?
No, so that's what I was saying. It all depends on how much cash somebody has. What I meant is, if somebody is 90% invested and 5% cash, you can be cute about it, because I feel little bit of cash gives you a sense of control. It gives you a feeling that, "Arey, market gir gayi to kya hua? I'm not fully invested." You need all these psychological things to handle the markets. Like, for 30 years I've done. Now, in the end, that 5% may not get you the correct bottom. But every day, like this, you are more excited, should I buy? It's all psychological, little bit here or there. So a little bit of cash is more for your own feeling of that, I am in control, and if there's a fall, I don't have to panic. In fact, I have money to buy. Yes, but of course, in the individual stock, we are also not zero buying. But I'm saying conceptually, it's not that we are finishing whatever little cash we have.
Okay, and how about like those who have already made their profit in September or probably in August, and now they're sitting on close to 50 or 60% cash?
50-60% cash means you are overly depending more on timing of the market, and that generally is very difficult. And how do you know that Mr. Modi and team will not listen to my great idea and cut capital gains tax someday soon?
All right, thank you, sir.
Hi, sir. I am
Please.
Abhishek from Business Standard. So my question is, do you think that for the next 4 years, market will perform like this more or less because of Trump? You don't know what and when he will say what. So do you think that how an Indian investor should keep his portfolio? Should he invest in Bitcoin a bit more and equity in less and in gold or other defensives?
So first of all, I don't think that President Trump can continue this uncertainty for so long, because it's like crying wolf, crying wolf. Either he does it now in the next 4 or 5 months, or he can't do it. He can't keep saying every 3 months that I'm introducing tariff. This thing will have to be resolved in 4 or 5 months. How many times will he come and try to scare the world? Let's say yesterday, the US market was up in the beginning, and then suddenly I think a tweet came or whatever came saying that I am going to increase China tariff by 10%, and market fell 1%. Now suppose he doesn't do it. Suppose he doesn't do on March 2nd any tariffs against Mexico and Canada and little bit against China, and on April 2nd he doesn't do anything and says no, 3 more months, then after some time nobody cares. But beyond that, we also can't care as a market forever about these things. हमें clarity चाहिए little bit. And more than us, the FII may need, if we are talking about him. And thirdly, maybe the US companies need a little bit, so that they know how much they are, what is their outlook, so that they can spend on IT and things like that. And therefore, we are connected with them to that extent. So this uncertainty is not a 4-year thing. This is 3-6 month type of thing. In terms of buying, I don't buy Bitcoin. I don't know what is the purpose of Bitcoin, but gold is very good.
Yeah, you had a question.
Yeah. Hi, Deepak Malpani this side. Sir, in September 24, we were like sitting at Nifty at 26,000 approx. Now, do you foresee any possibility in September 25 that Nifty has the possibility of reaching to the levels of 19K? And as a hedge against it, if we go in silver, so what are your views on silver? Because gold is already near its high maybe.
I'm an equities guy. Gold, I was saying personally I own. In a fund we don't have, but I don't relate to silver. Gold is more of a safety haven and all that. Silver has so many industrial uses, but for whatever, I have never in my life even looked at silver ka kya ho raha, because I'm actually not a commodities guy or a multi-asset manager. So I have no idea about silver, but gold in general is good. It has outlasted 5,000 years every period. Gold is generally a good hedge, and also gold we can relate that all countries are trying to buy, because after US basically blocked Russia's reserves, then obviously the Chinese guy and even the Indian guy will say, what if there's a crisis, if there's a fight, the US can take away my US dollar reserves. So it became natural. Same, so I think China might be the biggest buyer in this time, because whatever extra surplus it was generating, and it used to spend most of it on buying US government bonds. Some X part of that, they are all buying gold. But silver they can't store, silver they can't hoard. Gold is easier to buy. And I think one day I also feel there's a big risk, which I have to also worry about myself. One day some bank will be hacked. And that's a super scary scenario. Whose bank, which bank, what they will do. And who knows, you think you're a rich guy, but your money is in one bank account. Or maybe two bank accounts. Physical gold everybody will want one day. Because this hacking business also, Mr. Chaudhary came and he was talking about quantum computing. So one biggest risk in 2-3 years will be that quantum computing can break your password in like millionth of a second, because it can try every combination in like half a second. So these are going to be big scary things in future about passwords and all that, which is all basically saving the banking system. Okay, everybody has a password. Chalo, India mein there is dual, this thing which is better. But that is the angle.
Thank you, Samir. We've run out of time, but not questions.
Oh, 19K. I hope not, I don't know.
We've run out of time and not questions. Thank you, Samir, for your thoughts, for coming down to this session from Singapore. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much. Can we please have the mementos? That was such a fun session. Could almost picture Trump sitting there and saying, every morning, what should I shake today? Thank you so much.